almost forgot. As I said, guys, this week's question was, do you think the eviction moratorium is necessary currently?
No.
Landlords, please chime in. And if you heard the previous minutes of the episode, what previous minutes? If you heard earlier on in the episode, we talked about this a little bit and got our views in order there on that. And I'm trying to get Matt. There we go. Here we go.
That's
Perfect.
I like the first response already.
Okay, these. Hold on. It won't be the first. Okay,
Oh,
there we go.
oh, whoa.
Yeah, it'll be.
The hell?
Yeah, it's the way they do it is interesting. Lots of comments on this one. It's great. I love it. You guys crack us up, and I love that. So if you guys want to see what these comments are, you can look on the screen on YouTube. We have them there. If you're listening, though, thank you for listening, and share the show. That is how we grow. J.O. Miller possibly could get people back to work. I don't think he knew the question. I don't know. He always chimes in, and it seems maybe he's thinking something else from it. I can't understand what he's thinking.
Maybe he's thinking, do you think the eviction moratorium is necessary? Is it possibly or unnecessary? Is probably
unnecessary, yeah. Casey Russo, no, not at all. Is enabling bad opportunistic behavior.
Yep.
Okay. Morgan Weisenhunt. I worked in the housing industry for years. Honestly, I truly believe it is getting abused. Homeowners are still expected to pay on time. Why shouldn't renters? That is a very good argument.
Absolutely.
Cheryl Harris. Agreed, 100%. Only way anyone should at this point be able to use it is if they could prove a paper trail that actually showed job seeking had been pursued. I added words there to make the comment seem more readable. Morgan Weisenhunt, I agree. Not saying, okay, we got it. Maddie Harris, we had a situation where, this is a long comment, we had a situation where we had difficult renters. We were young and broke and had just moved out of our first home to follow work, and so we rented it out. If it gets off screen, Matt, please let me know. We were not in a position to comfortably afford 2 house payments. Footing the bill for our family and then the housing bill for another one created an unnecessary financial hardship for us, completely unfair to the landlord in most of these situations. So she's giving us a situation where it actually happened just with life, and it sucked. So the fact that it's happening with a government mandated moratorium, wow. Guys, I don't think you understand. Most of these landlords are not millionaires. Not even, honestly, they're middle class.
Like Bree and Jason, my brother-in-law and my sister, they own a couple houses, I think 3 other houses that they don't live in, that they just collect rent from families that, are luckily paying their rent.
Well, the bulk of people that own the houses for rent are middle class. Now, here's what I'll say. You say luckily paying their rent. In Texas, I want to see the stats in Texas specifically because I don't know if we're having that big of an issue. I'm not sure, though, because the moratorium actually, I think there's some specifics behind it that show that it has to be bad income or low income cities and neighborhoods and all that stuff.
Right.
So it just kind of depends on where it's at. And I don't know, man. Maybe in the deep city you might see that. I'm not sure. Texas, though, of course, we're doing great. Economy's always awesome. Thanks for sharing, Maddie. That's what I said. That's my comment. Jesus, I think it's supposed to be Jesus Christ, but that's interesting. It's a play on Jesus Christ. Wow, interesting. Anyway, that's the guy's name. People are abusing the system. The pandemic should have taught everyone to not want to live hand to mouth ever again. If you haven't figured this out by now, then you're a leech.
Correctamundo.
Correctamundo. Brandon Kyle Fudge. Let them property owners sell them houses if they can't handle people not paying rent. Lower this market, LMAO.
Awesome comment. That's great.
Awesome comment. Michael Roney, let me guess. You will never own a house.
What?
I don't know. Brandon trying to explain his comment. I love the back and forth in Facebook comments, bro. This is awesome. These guys just get off to this stuff. They want to defend themselves on a comment. It was a joke towards the current market. I don't really think it's the property owner's fault that renters can't pay their landlords. I realize selling a house wouldn't do anything because the next owner would just be stuck with the tenant. I wouldn't say I will never own a house, but if some wild, unfortunate life event happens, it's a possibility that I won't.
It was a very mature way to combat that asshole there, Brandon.
It was. Michael Roney. Thanks for explaining. Okay, all right, Michael Roney. So this go round, he's not winning a toasty tea. I'll tell you that. Kevin
does not count as a fucking comment.
Kevin Immer, I agree that it is unfortunate for landlords at this time. But I think if you look, this is interesting. This is an interesting comment. I like this comment. I think if you look at what historically happens during times of evictions and rising housing costs, the legislature may be choosing the lesser of two evils. If you suddenly evict a mass of people who cannot now afford to rent or buy, there is a realistic risk of rising welfare costs, crime waves, vandalism, homelessness, depression, job loss, negative effects on affected youth, etc. I am a conservative, but just looking at the bigger picture. Very well thought out comment.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll come back with. Mm-hmm. COVID has done those same things.
Here's what I'll combat that with.
Go ahead.
That it wasn't COVID. It was the federal government that did all that.
That's what I should have said in the first place.
Down,
by saying, you know, it's interesting. By saying COVID, I almost think that it should be implied that I'm saying federal government, but it shouldn't be.
And the thing is, if the federal government is providing people with these checks and these what do you call it? Unemployment benefits, whatever. Right. Pay your rent with that. That's what it's for.
Right.
It's not like you can't afford your rent. Like if you lose your job because of COVID, the government paid for that because the government shut your job down. If the government is giving you that extra money for unemployment and you're spending it on everything but what you're supposed to be spending it on, that's your own damn fault.
Yeah.
It's your own fault.
Right. And when the federal government decided to shut everything down, that like caused all the things he's listing out.
Right.
The riots, that was vandalism. That was crime waves, depression. You're stuck in your home, job loss, obviously. Like all those things happened because of the federal government. So I don't know if I like it or can say, oh, you saved yourself by helping out the land or by helping out the renters. Like I'm not sure I follow that same logic. Like I said,
and if anything,
well thought out comment.
They should have just paid the landlords and let the renters live there free. But
there you go. Why don't you just subsidize the landlords, and if that's what you're really trying to do? Even though I hate the whole idea, all of these ideas are terrible in my opinion, but that's whatever.
Yeah, you could have just let the whole virus go through the nation, do what it's going to do, and advise people the best way you can, but whatever.
Yep. Donna DeLauder, the only reason I know how to say that name is because I know her. Most landlords are just regular people who have a second home and rent it out. It's not always the big corporation that have apartment buildings all over the country. The regular Joe cannot afford to foot the bill for 2 mortgages long term. Plus, there is no assistance for people who lose their job and can't pay the mortgage on their own home? ? The bank still expects to be paid each month. How about helping them out too? And that is literally what we just said. That's perfect. Brian Casco, always shooting the funny ones. Hey, y'all, got any more of those stimmies or unemployment checks with the guy on crack?
Dave Chappelle's crackhead character.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle crackhead character, yeah. Jason Smith, absolutely not. What other businesses are being forced to give away their goods/services? If the government feels the need to get involved, then they should directly pay the rent that is legally due to landlords, which, by the way, are 50% small mom-and-pop owners. The mortgage company still demands their payments be made on time, but not rent? BS. If you can't pay, then get the F out. As a landlord, you better believe I will be vetting all references on future lease applications, and guess what? Your rent history will determine whether or not you get to live there.
Yeah, so like he is saying, if you're taking that government check and you're not paying your rent, and that's going to be on your renter's history, which it will be, you may have a hard time finding a place to live in the future. Because I mean, like Chase, this is my brother-in-law, by the way. Like Jason said, if
trying to get one from him,
to get one from him, you're not going to have a place to live,
right? And that's the thing is like, if we look at most landlords, well, they are the single people they're the people that own it. They're not the big corporations. Now, apartments are different. Apartments are not the same thing. Apartments are owned by pretty much corporations at the most part this time. But this is like almost exclusively houses, then, right? Renting houses, right? Dave Sign, he won a T-shirt. I hope you like. Wow, what? I hope you like your toasty tea, bro. Sent it all the way to New York for you. He says, obviously not. Never was necessary. Michael Roney comes in again with a comment. Here we go. Wow, actually, this is a good comment. It's a ploy to appease to the poor and dumb who have nothing vested in a rent or home ownership. Plenty of work to be had. No reason you can't pay rent unless you suck at life and you're lazy. Don't worry, the working class will still care for those deadbeats too. That's like a weird 180. So I'm not sure, Michael Roney, if he's listening right now, if you were trying to combat Brandon because of his poorly worded, grammatically incorrect whatever comment or what. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, the last comment's a decent comment though, so I'll count that towards a toasty tea if you win. I don't know. We'll see. Right? Yeah. Sweet. And that has been Facebook Warrior. That is our question of the week, guys. If you want to win a toasty tea, all you have to do is comment on my question of the week, and I will always hashtag that question with a Q&A, so you know that's the one that I'll put in the episode. With that said, you don't have to answer the question necessarily, although I would like you to answer it. If you want to answer it in a short version and then put your own thing there, you can ask us questions. You can say whatever you want. You can say, I hate the Toasty Podcast. I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Won't get a t-shirt.
Yeah, of course you won't get a t-shirt. Because we are biased when it comes to those t-shirts, guys. Not going to say only conservatives win. That's not what I mean to say.
Yeah, very true.
I mean a good comment that's juicy, that's toasty. The whole point of this is to stay freaking toasty. But with that said, guys, we are done.
Heck yeah. Stay toasty, everybody.
Stay toasty. Toasty.